Hello students, the lecture of today is what we have about theories of motivation. In previous lecture, we already discussed motivation, importance of motivation in organization or at workplace, process of motivation, how need results in drive and activities, and nature and importance of motivation. Now, today's topic is theory of motivation. The motivational theories are divided in two major categories. One is a content theory and second one is a process theory. There are some theories under content theory explained by different psychologists, and some theories like Bloom, Adams security theory are under process theory, which also explained by some psychologists. So first of all, we discuss a content theory. These theory focus on basically human needs or desires. We have already studied how need results in drive and activities. These theories studies such needs, their effects on the employee, and suggest way to motivate the employee by satisfying those needs. But as each individual has a different value system, beliefs, and character, it becomes a very complex process. Following theorists has given their theories of motivation in content theory perspective, like Maslow, need hierarchy theory, Herzberg, motivational hygiene theory, McLennan, need theory, and Adolph ERG theory. How content theory is different from process theory? Content theory is focused on a human needs and desires, and process theory deals with how the motivation occurs. That is the process of motivation. How can a motivation create in a individual or helps in a help individual for performing well or for maintain his performance at workplace or maintain his efficiency at workplace. So first of all, we can discuss a content theory. In content theory, first theory is a Maslow need hierarchy theory. This theory proposed by Abraham Harold Maslow in 1943. It is also known as a theory of human motivation in psychological review. Basic premises or essence of his theory is that it is need-based theory. It is need which provokes a man to work. Unsatisfied needs can influence behavior, but if individuals' needs are satisfied or fulfilled, is no longer a motivator. Needs are arranged in this theory in an order of their importance, or you can say that in an order of their hierarchy from bottom to top. As we go from the bottom to top, the complexity of needs increases. The hierarchy is rigid in this theory and fixed for every individual, irrespective of societies and culture. When the need from lower level are fulfilled, need from higher level comes to the surface and motivate an individual. Lower needs are more physiological, but as we go higher, it becomes more psychological. So psychological health and consciousness of a person increase as we go up. You can see in this slide, it is a neat hierarchy pyramid given by Maslow, in which first need, or you can say a lower need, are physiological needs. Physiological needs are those needs which are related with physical survival of individual, like food, clothing, shelter, water, sleep, or other basic necessities. They are basically more related to biological maintenance. This is our most important need, and we can go to the higher ones unless we satisfy them. Maslow says for our chronically and extremely hungry men, utopia can be defined simply as a place where there is a plenty of food. He tend to think that only if he is guaranteed food for the rest of his life, he will be perfectly happy and will never want anything more. Second need is a safety and security need. This include a job security, health security, property, family. It is basically a next step of physiological needs in which a human want security for everything: security for family, security for property, security for health, security for job, etc. In an organizational context, safety and security needs shows a salary increase, unionization, safe working conditions. So after this need, human come to a next stage, that is a need of belongingness, or you can say that social need of human. If human can achieve or fulfill psychological need, physiological needs and safety needs, then he come at under social needs. It is also known as a love needs. This arises when physiological and safety needs are satisfied. This include friendship, family, being intimate with the person one who loves. Maslow said that love involves a healthy relationship between two people, which includes a mutual respect, admiration, and trust. If you can say in an organizational context, there is a need of healthy working environment, compatible peer group, supportive supervision for motivation. After that, the next need Maslow define is a esteem need. Esteem need, Maslow divide this category into two basic parts, in which first is a self-respect and second one is a esteem from other. You can say that self-respect, it is a internal motivation, and esteem from other, it is work as a external motivation. For self-respect, it include a freedom of work. All individual needs a freedom of work, all individual having a different competencies, achievements and confidence, etc. So it work as a internal motivator. Or in esteem from others, if individual having a recognition from others, attention from others, reputation, prestige and appreciation, it is work as an external motivator for individuals. So after satisfied this need, human come to a next level of need, that is a self actualization need. It is a last level of Maslow need hierarchy theory. Maslow defined it as this tendency might be phrased as the desire to become more and more what one is, to become everything that one is capable of becoming. It is the full realization of one's potential. You can say that self-actualization is a realization of self-potential. In this, one seeks satisfaction from one's own work. In an organizational context, we can say that if a individual desire for excellence, doing any work successfully or with a perfection, or creating something new or creative or innovative, this type of when an individual uses all potential, overall potential for his work or his job, it is a self actualization. So Maslow define human needs in these 5 categories. Next theory under content theories as Husband 2-factor theory. Husband says that a true motivation comes from achievements, personal development, job satisfaction and recognition. That's why Husband define a motivation in 2 basic factors. One is a motivators and second one is a hygiene or maintenance factors. This theory is based on the research carried out by Husband and his associates on a group of employees of a paint company. The research team asked 200 employees consisting of engineers, managers and accountants to respond to the questions like can you describe in details when you felt exceptionally good about your jobs and when you felt exceptionally bad. So on the basis of this experiment, Husband define a two motivational factor. One is a maintenance or hygiene factor and second one is a motivational factor. The responses received can be grouped within two general categories. In a motivational factor, Husbach consists determine a job advancement, recognition, responsibilities and achievement. You also says that these are the external factors of motivation. And second factor Husbach defined, that is a hygiene or maintenance factor, includes it is a supervision, pay, company policies, working conditions, etc. So according to the Husbach, satisfaction and dissatisfaction are not two opposite poles of our dimension. Rather, they are two entirely different dimensions. Satisfaction is affected by motivators and dissatisfaction is affected by a hygiene factor. Therefore, to achieve motivation, management should cope with both satisfier and dissatisfiers. Improve hygiene factor, dissatisfaction is removed. If you provide satisfier and motivation will takes place. So in this theory, the merit of this theory is that one of the most significant contribution of this theory is that it is stimulated thought, research and experimentation to the topic of motivation. Husbach cleared many misconceptions concerning motivation, most prominent being money, which was earlier viewed as the most potent force on job. He advanced a strong case for content factor, which have a considerable bearing on behavior. The job design technique of job enrichment is the contribution of Husbach. Husbach double dimensionalized the need instead of dividing it into 5 as done by Maslow. So after that, now we discuss a next theory, that is a McClelland need theory. It is also known as a achievement motivation theory. It is also known as a 3 needs theory. It was given by a David C. McClelland and his associates. In his theory, he pointed out 3 needs that motivate human behavior. McClelland defines a 3 need or 3 factors. One is a power, need for power, need for affiliation, and need for achievement. The theory states that each person has a need of all 3, but the magnitude of intensity of a particular need varies from person to person. Now, in a brief description, we discuss these 3 factors. First is a need for power. It is a need to make others behave in a way in which they would not have behaved otherwise. Actual achievement of goal is less important than the means by which goals are achieved, and the satisfaction is derived from being in a position to influence other. What is power? Power is a position according to which you influence other, you influence the behavior of others, you influence the activities of other. So need for power is most important. It is important for each and every person. Every person want power for control everything or control according to our thinking or our ideas. So first factor is need for power. Second factor is need for affiliation. People with high need for affiliation derive pleasure from being loved by all and tend to avoid the pain of being rejected. It is the desire for friendly and close interpersonal relationship. If asked to choose between work at a task with those who are technically competent and those who are their friends, so if people having a high need of affiliation, he always choose their friends, not technically competent persons. So this need is also play a important role for improving the efficiency or performance of individual at a workplace, according to which individual feel free at workplace. They interact and with others and they feel people accept them. People with these needs like to maintain the pleasant social relationship or better healthy good relationships at workplace, enjoy the sense of intimacy and like to help and console others at the time of trouble. After that, a human want a need for achievement. McLennan found that some people have an intense desire to achieve. It is a drive to excel and achieve with respect to a predefined set of standards. Succeeding at a task is important for achievers. High achievers prefer immediate feedback on their performance, and they generally undertake tasks of moderate difficulties. They neither go for every difficult task nor for a very easy one, because in the former case they get no achievement satisfaction from accidental success, and in the later case there is a no challenge for their skills. McLennan believes that the need for achievement can be learned. He has cited numerous instances in which people develop the need to achieve. He believes that the economically backward culture can be changed if the need to achieve is stimulated. So, on the positive side, McLennan highlights the importance of matching the individual and the job. Employees with high achievements needs thrive on work that is challenging, satisfying, stimulating, and complex. On the other hand, employees with low achievement needs prefer situation of stability, security, and predictability. The theory suggests that managers to some extent raise the achievement need of subordinates by creating proper work environment. After that, next theory which we discussed, that is Adolphus ERG theory. Adolphus ERG theory is given by Clayton Adolphus in an attempt to rework on Maslow need hierarchy theory and to align it more closely with empirical research devised the ERG theory. He argued that there are three groups of core needs: existence, relatedness, and growth. This theory is similar to Maslow need hierarchy theory, but ERG theory differs in the following aspect. In Maslow need hierarchy theory, instead of 5 hierarchies of need, the ERG theory hypothesizes only 3, in which first is the existence need. Maslow need hierarchy theory define lower level needs. One is a physiological and safety and security. So, in ERG theory, Adolphus define a physiological need and safety needs such as a hunger, thirst, etc. in a existence need. Second, relatedness need. Adolphus define a social and external esteem, involvement with family, friends, co-workers, and employees, define under relatedness needs. And third one is a growth need. The growth need covers Maslow's self-actualization need as well as a part of esteem need, which are internal to the individual, such as a feeling of being unique, personal goals, etc. It is basically focused on an internal esteem, desire to be creative, productive, to complete meaningful tasks. So the need hierarchy theory postulates a rigid step-like progression. The ERG theory instead hypothesizes that more than one need may be operational at the same time. Maslow had stated that a person will stay at a certain level until that need is satisfied, but ERG theory counters this by nothing that when a higher level of need is frustrating, the individual's desire to increase low level needs takes place. So the benefits of this theory is it is more consistent with our knowledge of individual differences among peoples. The variables such as education, family background, cultural environment can alter the importance or driving forces that a group of needs hold for a particular individuals. Although there are some evidence to counter the theory's predictive values, most contemporary analysis of work motivation tends to support Adolphus theory over Maslow and Husbach theory. So now we discuss a process theory. There were 3 assumptions in content theory which were practically found to be incorrect and which decreased their usefulness. They were all employees are alike, all situations are alike, there is always a one best way to motivate all employees. Therefore, it results in the emergence of process theory, which helps motivation as an individual decisions to act, so as to put forth some given level of efforts. In which theory, first we discuss a Bloom expectancy theory. Bloom expectancy theory was proposed by Victor H. Bloom, who believes that a pupil are motivated to perform activity to achieve some goals to the extent they expect the certain action on their part would help them to achieve the goal. Victor Bloom states that the strength of a tendency to act in a certain way depends on the strength of an expectations that the act will be followed by a given outcome and on the attractiveness of that outcome of the individual. This theory is currently the most widely accepted explanation of motivation, although it has its critics, but most of the evidence support the theory, like effort performance relationship, performance reward relationship, reward personal goals relationship. Practically speaking, the expectancy theory says that employee will be motivated to exert a high level of efforts when they believe that effort will lead to a good appraisal. A good appraisal will lead to a organizational reward, which in turn will satisfy employees' personal goals. The theory therefore focuses on three relationship between effort and performance. It is a probability that a particular level of effort will be followed by a particular level of performance. The relationship, also known as expectancy range from 0 to 1, this is also known as a first level of outcome. Second is a personal reward relationship. It is basically describe the degree perceived by an individual that performing at a particular level, which lead to the attainment of desired outcome. It is also known as a instrumentality or second level outcome. It can have value ranging from -1 to +1. -1 indicates that the attainment of a second level outcome is less likely if a first level outcome has occurred, and +1 suggests the attainment of a second level outcome has occurred. 0 indicates no relationship between first and second level outcomes. And third, it focuses on reward personal goal relationship. This explains the degree to which individual, or you can say to which organizational rewards satisfy an individual personal goals or his needs, and the attractiveness of those potential reward for the individual. It is also known as balance. It can have the value ranging from negative to positive, and outcome is positive when it is preferred and negative when it is not preferred. So it is to be avoided. An outcome has a balance of 0 when an individual is indifferent about receiving it. So you can say that in expectancy theory, Bloom gives a equation that motivation is always equal to expectancy multiplied by instrumentality and multiplied by his balance. Expectancy, a person believes that more efforts will result in success. Mentality, the person believes that there is a connection between activity and goal. If you perform well, you will get a reward. And balance, the degree to which a person values the reward, the result of success. So this is a Bloom expectancy theory. Now we discuss Adams equity theory. Equity theory is also known as a social comparison theory or inequity theory. It is based on the assumption that individuals are motivated by their desires to be treated equitably in their work relationships. When we see ourselves unrewarded or under-rewarded, the tension creates anger. When over-rewarded, the tension creates guilt. Adams proposed that this state of tension or this state of mind provide motivation to do something to correct it. There always can be a 4 kind of reference that an employee can select to compare his present states. First, his self insights, when employee compare with a different position is in his own organization. Individual self outside, employees experience at a position outside his own organization. Other insights, another individual or group insights employees own organization or other outsides. Other outsides means another individual or group outside his own organization. So employee might compare themselves to their friends, their neighbors, co-workers or colleagues in another organization. They may also compare their present job with a previous job. People generally make comparison with the same sex also, same age also. So to reduce the inequality, a person may react in any of the following way. They can change their input, they can change their output, they may leave the field also, they may distort the perception about himself or perception about the others. With respect to the inputs, the following cases may occur to achieve equity. Given payment by time, over rewarded employee will produce more than equitably paid employees. Given payment by quantity of production, over rewarded employees will produce fewer but higher quality units than equitably paid employees. Given payment by time, under rewarded employee will produce less of poor quality outputs. Given payment by quantity of production, under rewarded employees will produce a large number of low quality units in comparison to equitable paid employees. On the positive side, the theory has generated a lot of research and most of the results are supportive. Some of the advantages are the theory acknowledges the human tendency of comparing oneself to other, and this social comparison influence their output. Compared to content theory, equity theory adopts a realistic approach. The theory proposed that major share of motivational behavior depends on the perceived situation rather than the actual circumstances. Despite this strength, the equity theory enjoys some questions still remain unanswered, or rather are under-answered, such as what is the relationship between input and output, what is given factor and input or an output. For example, responsibilities can be an input or it is an output. So there are some disadvantages also. Now we discuss goal setting theory. This theory states that it is essential links to task performance. It is stated that specific and challenging goals along with the appropriate feedback contribute to the higher and better task performance. The important feature of goal setting theories are the willingness to work towards attainment of goal is main source of job motivation. Clear, particular and difficult goals are greater motivating factor than easy, general and vague goals. Specific and clear goals leads to a greater output and better performance or better efficiency. But sometime unambiguous or measurable or and clear goal accompanied by a deadline for completion avoids misunderstandings. So goals should be realistic and challenging. This gives an individual a feeling of pride when he attain them and set him up for attainment of next goal. The more challenging the goal, the greater is the reward generally, and the more is the passion for achieving it, the better is the performance. Better and appropriate feedback of results. Feedback is a means of gaining reputation, making clarification, regulating goal difficulties. It helps employees to work with more involvement and lead to great job satisfaction. Employees' participation in goal is not always desirable. Participation of setting goal, however, make goal more acceptable and lead to more involvement. Goal setting theory has certain eventualities such as self-efficiency. Self-efficiency is you can say that an individual self-confidence and his faith on his potential of performing a task. Higher the level of self-efficiency, greater will be the efforts. Lower the level of self-efficiency, lower will be the efforts or lower will be the motivation. So individual, when they face challenging tasks, they perform according to their self-efficiency. While lower the level of self-efficiency, less will be the effort put in by the individual, or he might even quit while meeting challenges. And second one is a goal commitment. Goal setting theory assumes that an individual is committed to the goal and will not leave the goal. The goal commitment it divide on so many depends on so many factors, like goals should be clear, should be open, it should be should be set self by individual rather than designated. If individual sets goal, he should be more consistent with the organizational goals and organizational objectives and also organizational vision, and mission. So, goal setting theory is said that individual motivation is depends on his goal or related with his goal setting. How he set a goal, how he create a standards, how he achieve a task or achieve their objectives, it can provide a more motivating factors to an individual rather than others. Now we discuss a next process theory, that is a reinforcement theory. Reinforcement is a process of shaping behavior by controlling the consequences of the behavior. In reinforcement theory, a combination of reward or punishment is used to reinforce desired behavior or extinguish unwanted behavior. Any behavior that elicits the consequences is called operant behavior because the individual operates in his or her environment. So, the reinforcement theory concentrates on the relationship between the operant behavior and the associated consequences, and is sometimes refers to as a operant conditioning. It is also known as a characteristic approach. It is based on the story of donkey. We can work for a reward only. So, the behavioral theory of learning and motivation focuses on the effect that the consequences of past behavior have on future behavior. This is in contrast to classical conditioning, which is focused on responses that are triggered by stimuli in an almost automatic fashion. So, the reinforcement theory suggests that if individual can choose from a several responses to a given stimulus, and the individual will generally select the responses that has been associated with positive outcome in the past. Most important principle of reinforcement theory is, of course, reinforcement. Generally speaking, there are two types of reinforcements. One is a positive reinforcement and second one is a negative reinforcement. Positive reinforcement, it results when the occurrence of a valued behavioral consequences has the effect of strengthening the probability of behavior being repeated. The specific behavioral consequences is called as a reinforcer. For an example, a positive reinforcement might be a salesperson that exerts extra efforts to meet a sales quota and is then rewarded with a bonus. That is a positive reinforcer. The administration of the positive reinforcer should make it more likely that the salesperson will continue to exert the necessary efforts in the future. Now, negative reinforcement, it results when undesirable behavior consequences is withheld with the effect of strengthening the probability of behavior being repeated. Negative reinforcement is often confused with punishment, but they are not the same. Punishment attempts to decrease the probability of a specific behavior. Negative reinforcement attempt to increase desired behavior. Thus, both positive and negative reinforcement have the effect of increasing the probability that a particular behavior of individual will be learned and repeated. For example, negative reinforcement might be a salesperson that exerts extra efforts to increase sales in his or her sales territories, which is followed by a decision not to reassign the salesperson to an undesirable sales route. The administration of the negative reinforcer should make it more likely that the sales will continue to exert the necessary efforts in the future. Now, punishment is the administration of an undesirable behavior consequences in order to reduce the occurrence of unwanted behavior. Punishment is one of the more commonly used reinforcement theory strategies, but many learning experts suggest that it should be used only if positive and negative reinforcement can be used or have previously failed because of the potential negative side effects of punishment. Now, extinctions, it is a similar to punishment, and that its purpose is to reduce unwanted behavior. The process of extinction begins when a valued behavioral consequences is withheld in order to decrease the probability that a learned behavior will continue. Over time, this is likely to result in the ceasing of that behavior. So, the extinction may alternatively serve to reduce a desired behavior, such as a positive reinforcer is no longer offered when a desirable behavior occurs. For example, if an employee is continuously praised for the promptness in which he completes his work for several months but receive no praise in subsequent month for such behavior, his desirable behavior or may diminish. So to avoid unwanted extinctions, manager may have to continue offer a positive behavioral consequences. Reinforcement theory is an important explanation of how people learn behavior. It is often applied to organizational setting in the context of a behavioral modification programs. Although the assumption of reinforcement theory are often criticized, its principles continue to offer important insights into individual learning and motivation. So the topic theories of motivation are completed. Thank you.